Gaura Bhakta Binda. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadha Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Binda. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadha Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Binda.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today is a Tuesday. It is 30th of September. It is Ashwini Masa, Padmanabha Masa, Sukla Paksham, Astami Tithi. There are no Vaishnava events in the calendar today. So we shall move into our daily Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, so Maitreya Muni speaking about Virata Rupa, and there are different functions, and also like the Kshatriya and also Brahmana and the Vaishya, Sudra, Disya have been generated from the Virat Rupa, the functions of those people. And the living entities, based on their constitutional position, they are spread across the body of Virat Rupa. So in that sequence, so yesterday we were seeing Bahubhyo avatita kshetram kshatriya tad anurataham yo jatha traite varnan purshaha kantaka kshatat. From his arms of the Virat Rupa, Kshatriyas, the function of the Kshatriyas, it was born, and the Kshatriyas took that function and carried out. So, yo jataha trayate varnan. So, they will be protecting the three other varnas, the Brahmanas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. That is the function of Kshatriyas. And also, Paushaha Kantaka Kshatat. They will also punish the Kantakas, the disturbances within the society, like thieves, debauchees, and robbers, like that. Okay, so after saying that, today further, Maitreya Muni describing another function. So that is the Vaishyas. So Vaishyas, they are meant for the Krishi Goraksha Vanijyam. And the way of the means of livelihood, how to gather and also how to supply the food to this the society. So likewise, this function of Vaishyas, it got generated from the thighs of the Virat Rupa. Okay, likewise, Maitreya Muni is speaking. We are in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 6 and verse number 32. Visho avatanta tasya burvoho lokavrittikari vibhoho vaishya tad udbhava vatam dunam yaha samavartayat. Visho avatanta tasya burvoho. Vishaha is the means of living by production and distribution. Means of living by production and distribution is Vishaha. Avartanta tasya burvoho. Avartanta, it got generated. That Vishaha is got generated. Avartanta tasya burvoho. Tasya, his gigantic form, the Virata Rupa form of the Lord. Tasya burvoho, from the thighs. Loka vrittikari vibhoho. Loka vrittikari vibhoho. What is Lok? This is a means of livelihood. When there is a production and distribution, then everyone will get those food grains and vegetables, and they will live and then carry out their functions in day to day. And what is their functions? Again, it is meant for the self-realization, not simply just eating, sleeping, and mating like that. So livelihood is meant for this is Aryan civilization. For that purpose, this all is for varnashrama dharma. Everyone are atah pumbid vijisreshta varnashrami vibhagashaha swanistasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Everyone are meant to please Vishnu only. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. Only for the pleasure of Hari. All the varnas and dharma ashramas are divided so that their functions have been carrying out for time immemorial only for the pleasure of Hari. Samsiddhir haritoshanam. So that is for that purpose, Vaishyas, they engage themselves in the production and distribution. So that, and here it is mentioned, Lokavritti Kari Vibhoho. It's a means of livelihood for everyone. Vibhoho of the Lord. Vaishyaha tad udbhavo vatam. Vaishyaha is the mercantile community. Tat their udbhavaha orientation. Orientation means it's so they got generated. Vaishyaha tad udbhavaha vatam. Vatam is again means of living. Drunam yaha samavattayat. Drunam of all men, yaha one who samavattayat executed. This Vaishya community take the function of the means of livelihood by production and distribution. Okay, that is Vishwa avattanta tasya purvoho lokavritti kari vibhoho Vaishyaha tad budbhava vartam drunam yaha samavattayat. Translation: the means of livelihood of all persons, namely production of grains and their distribution to the prajas, was generated from the thighs of the Lord's gigantic form. The mercantile men who take charge of such execution are called Vaishyas. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can I request Debashish Prabhuji to read the purport, please? If available. Not Prabhavati Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please Prabhuji. Purport by Devan Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Human society's means of living is clearly mentioned here as Visha or agriculture and the business of distributing agricultural products which involves transport, banking, etc. Industry is an artificial means of livelihood and large scale industry especially is the source of all the problems of society. In Bhagavad Gita also the duties of the Vaishyas who are engaged in a Visha are stated as a cow protection, agriculture, and business. We have already discussed that the human being can safely depend on the cow and agricultural land for his livelihood. The exchange of produce by banking and transportation is a branch of this type of living. The Vaishyas are divided into many subsections. Some of them are called Kshetri or landowners. Some are called Krishana or land tillers. Some of them are called Tilavanik or grain raisers. Some are called Gandhavanik or merchants in spices and some are called Suvarnavanik or merchants in gold and banking. The Brahmanas are the teachers and spiritual masters. The Kshatriyas protect the citizens from the hands of thieves and miscreants. And the Vaishyas are in charge of production and distribution. The Shudras, the unintelligent class of men who cannot act independently in any of the above mentioned activities, are meant for serving the three higher classes for their livelihood. Formerly, the Brahmanas were given all the necessities of life by the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas because they had no time to spend making a living. The Kshatriyas would collect taxes from the Vaishyas and Shudras, but the Brahmanas were exempt from paying income tax or land revenue. This system of human society was so nice that there were no political, social, and economic upheavals. The different castes or Varna classifications are therefore essential for maintaining a peaceful human society. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. So this one, we have been discussing these functions from last 2 days, Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas and then Vaishyas. So here elaborately, Prabhupada is giving about the Vaishyas here. So human society's means of living is clearly mentioned here as Visha. Nowadays, if we observe in this world, people are fighting, nations are fighting on the basis of the business. On the basis, they are dominating. If you do not agree to me, I stop doing business with you. So likewise, they show this one. So this currently in the previous shloka, purport, Prabhupada was describing this world is full of the politicians are full of these Sudras and Vaishyas. So they cannot bring any peace. So here, means of living is clearly mentioned here as Vishaga or agriculture and the business of distributing agricultural products, which involves transport, banking. So this industry is an artificial means of livelihood and large scale industry, especially is a source of problems of the society. So this is if we just simply observe how do we get the food into our plate. Nowadays, it is just going and giving some money and then buying and then getting it. But previously, it was not that much easy. So we used to go to the farms and then cultivate and get the grains and then bring it. And the grains also, there is lots of process. So many people will come and then they separate the grains from the grass and then they take that grains and take to that mill and then where that removing the husk, so remove the husk and get the fresh grains, which is ready to be cooked and bring home and preserve it, then cook it and then finally this much of process goes for at least 6 months. And then once it comes, people cook it in a minute and then eat it in a minute or something like that. So this is the process, but we do not see that all the hard work is going on. So because people's time is spending all over in growing the grains and vegetables and many other things, so there was not many of problems like nowadays. We needed electricity, we needed a fridge, and so many other things to preserve these things. And also, if anything is wasted, and we are throwing it unnecessarily. Previously, it was not that one. So if any food is wasted, it is given to the cows. If there is all the leftover food, if cows are consuming it, and it gives the nutritious milk to all of us. So that is a very healthy environment. Now everything is complicated, and business people, even the product is very less price, they are increasing into so many multiple times and then distributing it to the people. So it creates so many problems. Previously, people used to go directly to the farmer and buy the grains, whatever they needed. And in exchange of just kind of, if they have cows and they send the compost of the cows, and then in exchange for the grains, that was the livelihood. So this is our practical experience. So I have practically seen, we have cows, so we have bought some kind of, whenever they give the compost and all this, we just give it and then they'll give the some kind of grass and also grains. So that is the way of livelihood. There is a proper understanding between the society. And there are so many people in the villages. Everyone is engaged in different kinds of functions. Okay, so that is but nowadays society is so complicated. Small thing is lots of small issue, big disturbances in the society. In the Bhagavad Gita, also the duties of the Vaishyas who are engaged in Visha are stated as cow protection, agriculture, and business. This is Krushi Goraksha Vanijyam, Vaishyakarma Subhavajam. And we have already discussed that human being can safely depend on the cow and agricultural land for his livelihood. So this is the happy way of life, but people they are engaging unless you go to the school and study very well, you don't get money, and then in such a way they just poison the mind that you work hard and then get the money and suffer. And once you get the money, there are so many people are looking for that money. How to take that money and enjoy. But previously it was not like that. We used to get the cows taking to the grazing and then they give the milk and then drink it and enough necessary grains, get the grains from the farms and then live happily. That was simple way of living. But now, so just they're pushing the children into the schools from the 3 years old onwards and then making them to suffer from 3 years old. It is so horrible. We even the 6 years old, we never used to like to go to the school. That was happy life. Though it doesn't matter whether we have got clothes or not. We used to play in the streets very happily and jollily, irrespective of the education. But later on, until of 17 years, until we get in, at that time there was not much pressure at all on the people. Even if you don't want to go to the school, at least you will have cows and then you can live on your own. So it was the custom of the village people generally. But later on, unless you work, so you cannot live in this society. They made a fear that education is so important, so that they are all nowadays they are losing their peace of mind, dependency, lots of dependencies on the society. But actually, it is the cow and agriculture land that is the safe way of depending on the cows, mother cow. So further, the exchange of produce by banking and transportation is a branch of this type of living. And the Vaishyas are divided into many subsections. These are called Kshetris, or the landowners, and some are called Karshana or land tillers. And some of them are called Tilavanik or grain raisers. Some are called Gandhavanik, merchants in spices. And some are called Suvarnavanik or merchants in gold and banking. So these are different, these are all Vaishya category. And then further, Brahmana and Prabhupada again bringing Brahmanas are the teachers and spiritual masters. The Kshatriyas protect the citizens from the hands of thieves and miscreants, and Vaishyas are in charge of production and distribution. Sudras, the unintelligent class of men who cannot act independently in any of the above mentioned activities, are meant for serving the three higher classes for their livelihood. So these Brahmanas and Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they receive Upanayana Samskara. They receive Upanayana Samskara. They have got that one. So their business is like that. But whereas Sudras, they do not receive the sacred thread. So and because of their cat, this is the Paricharyatmakam. This is their activity is the Paricharyatmakam. They just only serve. They are unintelligent people. Paricharyatmakam karma Sudrasyapi Swabhavajam. They can only serve as that is labor class. And then further, it is formerly Brahmanas were given all necessities of life by the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas because they had no time to spend making a living. So Brahmanas, they help the society and they live among ourselves and lead the society, speaking about astrologies and so many other things like arranging marriage ceremonies and arranging the Pitru Tarpanas and many other things like there are Dasivida Samskaras for the families, like since the birth of a child until the end of the person in the home. There are all so many activities. And in the temples, they perform so many other devotional service activities. Okay, so they do not spend time to work, going into offices and earn livelihood. That is not their main business. They engage themselves in the study of the Vedas and how to help the society. Okay, so here Kshatriyas, they would collect the taxes from the Vaishyas and Sudras, but the Brahmanas were exempt from paying income tax and land revenue. So here they directly take from the people. So nowadays we also see when Brahmanas come and perform some ceremonies at home and they take the remuneration, they don't have to pay income tax to the government. So they can keep it. So that is the natural thing. They do not have to show to the government. But Kshatriyas, they collect taxes from the Vaishyas and Sudras. Previously, Prabhupada was mentioning, in their livelihood, only 1/6 the portion of the money can be taxed. And also, he is receiving the sinful and pious activities of the people as well. So that the Kshatriya, the king, he would receive the sin or pious of the people of his kingdom because he is receiving the tax. And so he need to make sure that all of his subjects are living in a pious way so that king will become pious. Okay, that is a very subtle way of thinking that is mentioned in the scriptures. Okay, so that system of human society was so nice that there were no political, social, and economic upheavals. The different castes or varna classifications are therefore essential for maintaining a peaceful human society. This is the Varnashrama Dharma. Everyone is meant for samsiddhir haritoshanam. अतः पुंभिर्द्विजश्रेष्ठ वर्णाश्रम विभागशः स्वनिष्ठस्य धर्मस्य स्वनिष्ठितस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर हरितोषणम. And everyone has to carry out their activities स्वनिष्ठस्य धर्मस्य संसिद्धिर हरितोषणम for the pleasure of the Vishnu only, not for personal sense gratificatory things. And we are not here to impress someone else. It is samsiddhi haritoshanam. And during that time, people will compare against what Kshatriya is doing and enjoying more. Why can't I? If so, they're imitating that. That is where the fall down comes. There is no restriction for that one. If you wanted to become a Kshatriya, you need to make sure that you cultivate those qualities from your childhood onwards. So that's why, but naturally, people who take birth in those higher communities or higher caste, they will have got natural facilities. If Sudra also wanted to become, then he can also, if he is intelligent enough, he can make his child to study in the Brahminic school from his 5 years old onwards. He will become a Brahmana. But if you wanted to transcend everything, then you need to become a devotee of Krishna and take to shelter of feet of devotees, and then uh, cultivate the knowledge, and then become a pure Vaishnava. Become a pure Vaishnava means detached from all kinds of material entanglements, and then only engage yourself in the devotional service of the Lord for pleasure of Krishna. Here also only for the pleasure of Krishna, following the regulative principles, chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and then associate with the pure devotees in such a way you can elevate and transcend you beyond, you skip all this varnashrama dharma straight away. Okay, so that's why Krishna consciousness is so pure. It is straightforward process. We don't need to go through all this varnashrama dharma. Varnashrama dharma is required as a basis, as a strong foundation for the community. But Krishna consciousness, it is straightforward approach. It is directly trying to some haritoshanam only for the pleasure of Krishna. Okay, so in such a way, Vidhi Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, so those steps will go further. Okay, that is from here, Srimad Bhagavatam. So, Visho Avartanta Tasya Urvoho, Lokavrittikari Vibhoho, Vaishyastad Udbhavo Vartam, Dunam Yaha Samavartayet. So, the business functions got manifested from the thighs of the Virata Rupa. So that Vaishyas took charge of those functions. Okay, that is from Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. We shall move to Srila Prabhupada's letter, daily letter. So this letter, yesterday's letter, it is a letter to Upendra in this one. Then one of the point Prabhupada was mentioning here, just about the food. When he was mentioning about the demigod worship. So if they have invited our friends and family members to participate in their home, although we respect the demigods, we may not take their prasadam if invited. Because the prasadam we do not take if it is offered to, because the people who are making, they do not follow four regulative principles or chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the sanctity of food preparation is questioned. They may use onions and garlic, so they do not follow all rules and regulations. That's why if we are taking it, then we are just infected with the three material modes, or mode of ignorance or passion or whatever is goodness of this material world. So that is one thing. So here we first of all we prepare prasadam for the pleasure of the Lord for Jagannath, and then first the food is offered to Lord Jagannath, and then the food is prasad is offered to different demigods. We may take such reminders as prasadam. This is the correct procedure. Again, that is also in the Bhagavad Gita. It is also mentioned. Yajna Sinto. Mutyante sarva kilbishaihi. So first is food needs to be offered to the Lord. Then that prasadam can be distributed even to the demigods also. It is not that we first of all offer the food to demigods and then distribute it. That is not the right procedure. Okay, so here, okay, that is the one point just to bring out. Okay, so from the yesterday's letter and the dear devotees, if you have got any questions, I think we have gone through this. You have heard this yesterday. By anything, if you remember to recall, otherwise we move to the next letter. Okay, so we shall move to the next letter. Yes, so today letter to Ben, November 22nd, 1970, Bombay. Okay, it is also a little bit. Okay, so can I request Swarup Prabhuji to read this letter, please?
Sure, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. My dear Shriman Ben, please accept my blessings. I beg to thank you very much for your humble letter dated September 20th, 1970. I am presently staying in Bombay. Since arriving in India, I have been extensively traveling and preaching our Sankirtana movement to all parts of the country. There is good reception also for our society here. From other countries all over the world, I am receiving daily reports and thanks how everything is going on in Krishna consciousness nicely. Our movement has now become truly international society. I am very glad that you are so much appreciative of our program and philosophy. Actually, it is the only factual presentation of our true relationship with God. And it is our earnest endeavor to preach this philosophy very vigorously, so clear out the disease condition of impersonal and voidist philosophy which is so much misleading the innocent persons. So you are very fortunate. Krishna has saved you from the impersonal calamity. I am very much pleased to know that you are trying to set a fine example to your young son Joseph and your God and your good wife. It is the duty of our students who are married men to train both their wife and children in devotional service to the Supreme Lord. The easiest program is that you add to your daily schedule a Kirtana chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra both in the evening and the morning with your family. And after chanting, you can read something from our Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita as it is, or Krishna book, or our other literatures. You are already offering service to Lord Jagannatha and offering him some nicely prepared fruits, milk, sweet smelling flowers, and incense. That is the way for householders. For householders, it is prescribed that one should hear the Bhagavad Gita or other transcendental texts, of which we now have ample supply from the lips of the devotee of the Lord. One should accept a bona fide spiritual master and follow his instructions, and one should install the deity in his home and carry on worship there. These three items will make your life perfect. So you simply try to observe these things, and if you need some advice how to do it, you can ask the elder devotees of our New York temple. Be very strict in your observance of the four principles of regulation, namely, no illicit sex life, no intoxicants, no eating of any meat, fish, or eggs, and no gambling. Always chant Hare Krishna at least 16 rounds daily and be happy. I hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Can you take your points, Prabhuji?
Sure, Prabhu. Um, Here in this conversation, is very pleased with the way the things are developing with Shriman Ben. Um, I think the most important thing is that when Srila Prabhupada is talking about how for grihasthas to follow the Krishna conscious way, and the emphasis to get the whole family involved in the Krishna conscious way by chanting the holy name, at least morning and evening, and then to slowly develop it, and at least try to do 16 rounds um, of Mahamantra. I think the key is where what I find very key is how to involve both the wife and the children, that is the whole family, in the devotional service, because I think that also helps the not only the devotee but the whole family to progress towards the Krishna consciousness. And as we know that association of the family support is very important for the devotee and for everyone to progress in the spiritual journey. Also, he has emphasized about reading like Bhagavad Gita as it is, Krishna book or other text, so that people can have by Shruti, by listening, can also develop their mind towards the Krishna consciousness. He's saying that he has then gone on to say that to establish a temple at home, and he has said that it can be done in a very simple way by offering some food which already Prabhu does to Jagannath, and to offer to the deities some flowers, some incense sticks, some sweets, and that way they can develop a nice altar with the deities, whereby the temple is there at home also, so that people need not who cannot go to the temple on a everyday basis have that environment at home to worship the holy Lord. um, I think that's really the most important thing. And then he has, of course, said about the four prescriptive, or the four principles of regulation. And he has said that how important it is to follow those four principles, which we are all aware of. And of course, he has again emphasized about doing the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra on a regular basis. That's my takeaway, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very nicely explained. Okay, any other comments, dear devotees?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Just describe this letter so beautifully. Just one thing. Towards the bottom, I think he mentions three things. Prabhuji already mentioned two. One is reading Bhagavad Gita. Second one, there is an emphasis on one should accept a bona fide spiritual master and follow his instructions. And the third one, dating in the home. So that Prabhuji already mentioned. So I think three things people need to do, it looks like. And then this thing about chanting the Maha Mantra with the family members, also that resonated very much with me as well. And Prabhuji stressed that as well. So yeah, everything was nicely described. It's just that guru thing that was mentioned. I didn't know that was three things he mentions there.
Okay, perfectly explained, Mataji. Very nice. So this is home shrine, and then spiritual master, and deity worship in the home. And the other day, I shared one of in 1960s, there one of the university from Western, they went to India and South India, so they're observing the Brahmanas' day-to-day activities. So they have got home shrine, and then they have got the spiritual masters, the footprints on a cloth, and then keeping in the home. Early morning, the housewives, they come and clean the temple room and arrange everything, and also all the required paraphernalia. And then later on, the man, meanwhile, he gets ready and then he comes to the deity room, and then taking all the paraphernalia, he starts the worship of the deities, waking up him and then just cleansing, bathing him, and offering prayers to him. And then he also offers prayers to the footprints of the spiritual master. And then later on, during that end of that process, and also the all members of the family comes and take some prasadam like tirthas and little bit of prasadam, and then offer obeisances to the deities. So it happens morning and evening. So Sabariha Saprajaha Kaman Bubuje Anya Aviroditaha Sangi Manas Satkitihi Satribihi Suragayakaihi Prativusheshu Anubadhena Hridashurinvan Harehe Kataha. Every day morning without missing. Pratibhusheshu Anubadhena Hridashurinvan Harehe Kataha. Every day morning and evening. So they hear Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, little bit of time, and then prayed, offering prayers to the Lord. Hearing those prayers in the morning and evening, it is so auspicious. It brings auspiciousness. In the daytime, we go outside, we hear so much of nonsensical conversations and bad news, but does not give any pleasure. As soon as we hear the Vedic hymns, immediately heart will be reviving. It is reviving the happiness, which is the natural conscious position of a living entity. Okay, that must be there. So for that purpose, we need to follow the rules and regulations, and then not sense gratification, not become lazy. But this is a starting. Once we get used for it, then we will be in the spiritual world, no more material world. It doesn't matter where we live. Okay, this is very beautifully explained. And also, in order to do that one, first of all, we need to have some kind of a proper philosophy, the basic philosophy Prabhupada here in this mentioned. So there is a clear condition, what is ourself and what is supreme personality of Godhead. Sometimes think that there is no everything is Brahman light, something like that. But if you are in that is a cloudy knowledge, they cannot take to this deity worships and all. This is Prabhupada mentioned impersonal calamity. That is impersonal calamity. If you take that there is only Brahman light, no God, people they cannot take to this process of beautiful transcendental happiness. They will miss everything. Okay, so that is very beautiful point Prabhupada has mentioned. Okay, any other comments, dear devotees? Okay, so that is from Srila Prabhupada's letter. And from the announcements point of view, so today is Tuesday. We have got teaching practice session at 8 p.m. So today Devashish Prabhuji, and also one more thing, this Prabhuji's mother is not well. So Prabhuji, we need to pray for Prabhuji's mother, so that she would recover. And Prabhuji is going through some stressful condition as well. And we pray for his well-being, and so that everything, all things will go nicely by the mercy of the Lord. Lord, may protect Prabhuji's mother from all kinds of obstacles. So that is a kind request. So today evening Devashish Prabhuji's preaching session, but due to the Prabhuji's busyness, so I requested Swarup Prabhuji to speak. So hope that is all right. Hare Krishna. Devashish Prabhuji, you wanted, if you are available, to share anything? Okay, Prabhuji is not there, so maybe busy. That's all right. Okay, so that's all updates from me. And dear devotees, if you have got any other updates, kindly share. Okay, so if there are no further updates, then we shall conclude and continue with further japa, keeping all the devotees who are going through different stages of our materialistic life, obstacles, and keeping them in our prayers. And then we shall conclude and continue with further japa. पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो
वैष्णवे
नमो
नमो
नमः।
नमः।
वैष्णव की जय
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 प्रभुपाद की जय
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 हरे कृष्ण कॉन्शियस डे एवरीवन
हरे कृष्ण।